mean, he's a good guy.
Shaner,
Here.
Scott, Waters,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
O'Kane.
Here.
Please join me in a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a couple of proclamations. I'll start with the Ragbri Week with Mr. Salvatore. You've been busy.
Yes. Many of us have.
Today's proclamation, whereas, as the Register's annual Great Bicycle Ride Across Iowa, Ragbri, marks its 50th year, the July 2023 milestone ride will begin in Sioux City, the place where Ragbri began in 1973. This marks the 8th time Sioux City has served as the starting point and an overnight town on the Ragbri route. And whereas Ragbri began when John Karras and Donald Call, and by the way, Donald Call was our speaker for my high school senior graduating class, just for the record. Two Des Moines Register reporters decided to bike across Iowa and invited others to join. The initial count of 114 riders exploded over subsequent years, making Ragbri a major summer event across the state of Iowa that has an incredible economic impact on Iowa communities. And whereas Ragbri kicks off July 22nd in Sioux City with free entertainment in the Tyson Event Center parking lot, cyclists depart on July 23 to overnight stops in Storm Lake, Carroll, Ames, Des Moines, Tama, Toledo, and Coralville before ending in Davenport on July 29th. The event will welcome over 25,000 riders, along with their support teams, representing all 50 states and countries around the globe. Now, therefore, I, Dan Moore, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the Mayor and City Council, do hereby proclaim July 17 through July 23rd, 2023 as Ragbri Week in Sioux City, Iowa. And I'd love it if you'd say a few words about this great celebration we'll be having.
Yes, I just want to thank the mayor and the council for their support of Ragbri. We're gearing up for the largest event in the history of Sioux City, and it couldn't have happened without the hard work and dedication of our planning committee, our committee chairs, our committee members, lots of volunteers, city staff, OVG 360. So it's been a labor of love. We're done with the planning, and now we're just focusing on implementation this week. And ready or not, Ragbri 50 will be here this Saturday, and thanks again for your support.
And not enough thanks for you.
Right. Mr. Moore, I would just like to add to that, for those of you who don't know, Matt is our chair for the entire event. And he was very quick to step up to the plate. I just mentioned, wow, we need a chair. And he said, do you want me to do it? Very quickly, and he's done a great job. It's a huge, huge task.
He's responsible for this nice publication that was in our Sioux City Journal.
Yeah,
Are you responsible?
that would be the publicity committee in Worcester.
That's a good marketing
Very-
tool.
yeah.
Very well done, professionally done. I don't know if you've all read it, but it's outstanding.
Yeah, and it's an important piece of the event.
It is. Thank you.
Great work, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
You probably know some of these people on the front cover.
I do.
All right. Are Kevin and Wanda, please, here? They are. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is an honor to do. How are you? We are fine. You've been busy with your yard, it looks like. It's mostly him? Commendation. Whereas you are to be commended for taking the time, the initiative, and the effort to create a beautiful yard that contributes greatly to your neighborhood and to the city of Sioux City. And whereas you should be proud of the work you have done and the beauty you have created. And whereas we thank you for allowing our other citizens to enjoy your beautiful yard and for teaching by example the merits of beautification in a community. Now therefore, I, Dan Moore, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the Mayor and City Council, do hereby commend Kevin and Wanda Fries of 2301 McDonald Street for exhibiting pride of ownership and being a recipient of the City of Sioux City's Yard of the Month Award. Congratulations. Love it if you'd say a few words too.
Thank you. It is indeed an honor and a big surprise for us to be chosen as the Yard of the Month. When we were notified, we just were really surprised, and we thank you for this special award. We're relatively new residents of Sioux City. We've lived here just 2 years this month. We retired here. My wife, Wanda, was a nurse practitioner, and I'm a retired pastor. We've owned the house at 2301 McDonald Street for 12 years, bought it kind of on a whim, thought maybe we would rent it out, and the more we had it, the more we fell in love with it. So we worked on it for 10 years, and then we moved here 2 years ago. And it's a great neighborhood, and Sioux City's a great place to live.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 2, interviews for city council appointed boards, commissions, and committees. Human Rights Commission. Do we have applicant Swain here? Would you like to come to the podium, please, and visit with us for a couple of moments about why you would like to be appointed? And how do you pronounce your first name?
Maggie.
Maggie, just like
Yep.
it's spelled. Okay, I was making it too hard.
Yeah, it's not.
Maggie Swain, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, I came from a country that democracy is not exactly respected, and I feel that be part of the Commission of Human Rights is I can give my perspective of how can be if things are different, what can happen if we don't respect our human rights. And I feel like my experience in this country is make me want really to show everybody everything that we can do here. When you respect the human rights, when you can do the best for you and for your community, for your state too, and for your country. And that is something that I value a lot in this country, and I would love to help.
Very good. Thank you for those comments. Any questions for Maggie Swain?
Really appreciate your application.
Thank you so much.
Those are some good responses.
Thank you. Transit System Advisory Board, Angela Drent. Good afternoon.
So I've been working with transit for a couple of years. Most transit trips start and end with walking, and I do a lot of walking in the community and walkability assessments and those sorts of things. So it's a good fit. We are also doing some projects with them recently on just trying to educate seniors in particular on how to use a transit system, how they get the reduced senior rate pass and those sorts of things. So I was asked to apply, and I'm looking forward to serve.
Well, I'm glad you made application. Any questions for Angela Drent?
I'm glad you mentioned the walking. We're involved with the last one, correct? With Downtown Partners. I think was it Downtown Partners that
Yeah, yep, I've done some different types of walking assessments for
It's
several years in the community.
Extremely necessary, because you don't think about getting out and checking, after it rains, or water collect, or we have a lot of those old, like really high curbs and things like that people don't take into consideration. So I was really glad that you brought that up, and that's an incredibly valuable piece to have. So the downtown area had a walking audit done, and my question would be, do you think that there's a particular side of town where you see foot traffic where maybe we haven't traditionally done any walking audits, or you think might be susceptible to curb issues or anything like that we should have on our list?
So I am on the Sioux City Active Transportation Advisory Board as well, and so we work closely on that. One thing that I have been doing is looking at senior housing complexes, in particular HUD housing complexes, and where those are located, and analyzing where residents actually walk to and from their housing complexes, and we're doing sidewalk assessments in those particular areas. So we have focused in the downtown area. We've done some over in the Cook Park neighborhood, and now we're kind of focusing over on the mall. So I would just look at population density and those sorts of things. We'll be able to look at transit use to be able to see, because a lot of people who are using transit also have to walk. So I think it's important to look at some of those demographics in our community to kind of be able to analyze that.
Got one last one.
Yeah.
So sidewalks is always a hot button issue.
Yeah.
How often is the lack of sidewalks creating a barrier for residents, do you think?
In certain areas, we haven't really analyzed that a whole lot, but I think in some of our older neighborhoods and some of the hilly neighborhoods that we do lack some of those sidewalks. We need to take a look at some of those things, and also we are looking at where sidewalks are not, and looking at some of the foot traffic and the patterns of where we call them goat trails, so we can see where people are walking if there is not a sidewalk. So we're trying to identify some of those patterns through the active transportation.
Which I think parlayed well with, the active transportation, the conversation we had at the joint meeting.
Yes.
For sure. Well, I serve with you in a number of different capacities, and always appreciate willingness to serve and be a voice for people. So thanks for your service.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate the two of you making an application, because it's important for our boards and commissions that we have a full commission and board on each, and they give a lot of good input for us and recommendations made to the mayor and the city council. So thank you both for making those applications today. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Items 3 through 12C constitute a consent agenda. Items pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. Anybody wishing to speak on an agenda item may come to the podium at the time the item is being discussed. Anybody wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at the end of the regular meeting during citizen concerns. Please fill out a citizen concern card found outside the chamber's entrance and give it to the Assistant City Manager, Mike Collette, to my far left, to your right, and he will let us know. All speakers shall state their name and address for the record and then provide their statement. I'll move the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alex. Agenda item 3, reading of the City Council minutes of July 10 and 11th. There was a clerical error on the minutes of July 10th. The correct time the meeting adjourned was 4:47. It has been corrected. So we don't need to do anything else, do we, with that? Okay. Agenda item 4, motion authorizing negotiations with Park Connect to formulate an agreement for revenue control equipment at city parking facilities. Agenda item 5, motion appointing Ricardo Osorio to the Inclusive Sioux City Advisory Committee. Agenda item 6, resolution canceling the purchase order to Jensen Motors for a Ford F-150 flatbed truck. Agenda item 7, actions relating to grants. 7A, resolution endorsing the Cone Park and Sertoma Park Mountain Bike Trails project authorizing a grant application to the IDOT State Recreational Trails Program Funds, pledging a 25% minimum local match, and committing to maintain the trail for a minimum of 20 years. Thanks for your work on that, Matt, with the grant. Matt and Angel. Angel, thank you for your work on making that application for that grant money. It'll go a long way to helping us with those improvements. 7B, resolution authorizing fire rescue to accept a grant from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation for the purchase of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Agenda item 8, actions relating to street closures. 8A, resolution temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area on July 29th for the historic 4th Street Classic Car Show and Cruise. 8B, resolution temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area August 31st through September 3rd for Art Splash. That's coming up pretty quickly there too, isn't it? I'm glad we're having that event. That's an important event too. Agenda item 9, actions relating to agreements and contracts. 9A, resolution approving renewal option 1 with HiChem for coagulant. 9B, resolution approving renewal option number 2 to the contract with USP Technologies for odor control chemicals. 9C, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with McClure Engineering for the West 3rd Street and West Street intersection improvements project. 9D, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with DGR Engineering for the Big Sioux pedestrian bridge crossing project. 9E, resolution approving the contract and performance bond with H&R Construction for the IBP Ice Center locker room addition project. Agenda item 10, actions authorizing payments. 10A, resolution approving change order number 3 and authorizing payment to INA Construction for the Outer Drive and Floyd Boulevard pedestrian crossing improvements project. 10B, resolution authorizing payment to L&L Builders for the Fire and Rescue Training Tower project. 10C, resolution amending resolution number 2022-1067 for the Big Sioux Highway 12 Trail from the Big Sioux River to Highway 12 project, adjusting the amounts due and payable.
Really quick before you move on.
Yes,
On 10B,
yes, sir.
I just have a comment on 10B.
10B, okay.
It was great to see that up and running. They were using it the other day, and I saw smoke billowing out of it, and it looked really neat. I did have a couple people ask about the overturned cement mixer and cars on the side of it, and I just let them know that that's part of the training center. But it was interesting to hear a lot of the firefighters talking about how you can change what model of house or apartment the training tower is set up as so that they can practice in different environments that they're not used to. And I think that that was, I think that that's going to have a huge impact on our professionalism and just our ability to not going into a situation where we don't know what to expect. So it was neat to see that in operation.
Thank you.
That was it.
Appreciate that, Matthew. Agenda item 11, applications for beer liquor license. Please see the list. Please note the dates on item 11A-2 should be July 26th through July 30. So please note that change, July 26th through July 30th. Agenda item 12, board, commission, and committee minutes. Please see the list and come forward if you have any questions on those. This is the end of the consent agenda. Is anyone to be heard on any of those items? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Okay, discussion, agenda item 13, resolution amending a resolution number 2022-1134, which approved the final plat of Monument First Edition to replace the erroneous final plat with the correct plat.
Second.
Anyone presenting? I'll make that motion, and thanks for the second. Is there anyone presenting on that? Item 13, okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Yep, we do.
You work for it today.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Okay, agenda item 14, citizen concerns. We have Carrie Baker to talk on revitalizing Sioux City's old neighborhood. Good afternoon.
My name's Carrie Baker. I live at 1700 West 1st Street. The front paper of the Sioux City Journal read, $12.3 million Chris Larson Park riverfront development expected to boost Sioux City quality of life. $12.3 million. That's an unheard of amount to fund a diversion from the reality of rundown, neglected, and fading Sioux City neighborhoods. A place where citizens can go to escape the decaying homes and the pothole-ridden streets. $12.3 million to create pristine gardens and play areas while some of Sioux City's poorest residents are harassed and fined by local code enforcement personnel to move vehicles, fix driveways that are too wide, and other HOA-type complaints. Did our fines fund that project? $12.3 million to create new driveways and walkways and trails, and the people on First Street can't even get a decent street to drive on or a curb in front of our house. A curb that was promised in 2019 when the Lions Park investment project was a thing. Where did that money go? $12.3 million to create a place where people can meet and eat, play, and talk, while the homeless try to find a replacement for the warming shelter. A place where, despite the price tag, you can still find needles, crack pipes, and broken glass tossed around the trails and play areas. Amidst the tall grass, is anyone planning to mow? Won't that cost taxpayers extra? It is time Sioux City takes their new money and puts it back into old Sioux City, West Side, Riverside, Leeds, and Greenville, and stop kowtowing to the influential God's country figures plus incomes. It is time Sioux City tries to stop trying to create an Omaha or Sioux Falls atmosphere, places where people go to visit, and create a city where people want to live. There's little pride in our neighborhood because Sioux City has no interest in the slums. There's no sense of community in our community because Sioux City does not recognize a very important group of people, the lower to middle class citizens. If you want to improve the quality of life for Sioux City residents, the Sioux City Council needs to sink $12.3 million into neighborhood revitalization and redevelopment.
Thank you for those comments. We'll take those into consideration. I would ask Mike Collette maybe to follow up on some of the comments that you've made. We appreciate your taking the time to bring that.
Appreciate your
Ms.
perspective.
Ms. Baker?
Yes.
Can you come back up?
Yes.
This council is concerned about the state of the city, all neighborhoods. I do want you to know that. It's a big task, start in small spaces and grow out from there. Had you heard about the HUD housing development that is being?
I have not, but I know that some of the small projects starting out seem to be on the southeast side of town.
Well, this one is
moving toward the northwest.
Nope, this one's actually directly on the west side. It's
Okay.
on 5th and Isabella. It's called Isabella Square. There'll be 11 in HUD homes built in the first phase. It was just approved here a couple of weeks ago. I've personally been working on this development for 2 years because I'm very committed to help housing become developed for all income levels. We have a developer, he owns the property. The city has partnered with him. We are installing infrastructure. The HUD will come in and help with down payment assistance in the form of forgivable loans. There'll be 3-bedroom, single-family homes built over there. And again, that's phase 1 with the possibility of maybe 4 more squeezing into the block, as well as a brand-new pocket park will be installed on that city block. I personally have met with some developers recently to focus on homes that are under $300,000. that we can put infill in spots that are maybe kind of odd-shaped lots or things. So I personally can tell you that we're not neglecting all incomes. It's feels like it, and maybe it's been slow to come in the past, I understand that, but I do want you to know that I am dedicated to help in that area.
As for those houses, are they going to be new houses or?
Brand new built houses,
And
yes.
what is going to be the approximate cost of those?
I don't know what the cost will be in the end, but their cost will be adjusted, just like the other three little ones over there. These will be bigger than those, and a family should be able to move in with the house payment actually being less than what a 3-bedroom apartment would be. They'll each have a full basement, they'll have a garage, 3 bedrooms, bathroom, all new, and we're estimating that the house payment would be no more than $1,000 a month.
So we're looking at least, yeah, I guess that is not going to affect West Side taxes with having brand-new houses being built, rather than looking into the several houses that they have over there that have been abandoned or just in need of repair. Nobody seems to want to redevelop the houses that are existing there already, and there are at least 3 within a block of us that all they need is, I don't know, some new carpet, new windows or something, someone to come and care for them. But instead, you're going to just leave those there so that we still have homeless people and drug users, because believe me, we know what goes on in those empty houses. And you're going to build something brand new for people who probably won't be able to afford most of it anyway at some point. We know that there's been a few people that have had a HUD home and have lost it because they can't pay $1,000. So again, I don't see the interest in revitalizing or redeveloping the West Side when you're just tearing something down and building something new.
We're not tearing something down. That was an abandoned school that was torn down.
Okay.
So where the school was is no longer, and it's been
Okay,
sitting
I know
empty
what
for
it
a
is.
long
All right.
time, yes. And as far as rebuilding homes that are already there, we do have some new businesses that have been started. Rent SUX is one of them, and they're very committed on buying older, small homes. And if you go to the city assessor site and look, you can see how many they own and what they've done to them. And they're doing exactly what you're talking about. And they're working their way through the city for homes that are for sale. They're buying them, they're fixing them up, and they're renting them out at affordable prices. And they're following up with their tenants. So people are working on it. They are. But the city just can't buy a house from someone who's maybe an absent owner or something like that. I understand your frustration. I go on that side of town to drop my dog off. I do see some rundown houses, absolutely.
I guess to me, it's like if the council is capable of raising $6 million to fund a $12 million park, there's got to be somebody that you know that can actually take a house that's worth probably $80,000 or however the housing market's going right now because it's abandoned and so forth, and
Right.
fix it up for a fraction.
Right, there are people that I know.
Of the weight lifting equipment that you have sitting seaside down there.
You're right, there are people that I know. On my way here, I'm going to tell you that I texted myself an address to look up because there was one for sale and it was pretty rundown looking, and it was 1208 Floyd Street. So I just want you to know that people are paying attention. It might not seem like it, but I promise you, I am paying attention.
Okay.
And I believe the rest of the council is as well.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking Mr. Collette to get back with you. We have a lot of programs. If Jill Wanderscheid were here, she's involved in a lot of those.
Right.
And we've made a lot of improvements to our infrastructure. We're far behind on that. We've acknowledged that for years. We're playing catch up with it. So your points are well taken. I just want to get some facts back to you so you could see some of the programs that we're actually trying to put in place.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else under citizen concerns?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mark Solheim. I live at 2909 Garrettson Avenue. As Yogi Bear said, here we are, deja vu all over again. I have been here at least for the previous 4 years asking that the city council would do something, begging that the city council would do something about fireworks. And I stand before you today in support of the 1,000 veterans in Sioux City suffering from PTSD. I stand before you today in support of people like Jenny Pullis, who's tired of the noise, smoke, and debris from fireworks. And I stand before you today in support of the thousands of people who suffer, along with their pets, because the explosions terrify their family loved ones to death. The noise from fireworks gets worse every year, and that is just the nature of the beast. Every fireworks manufacturer wants to have a bigger bang to make more money with. They get more bucks with the bigger bangs. The degree of smoke that was commented about last week is simply because there was more fireworks set off. I agree with Jenny that something needs to be done. If it were up to me, I would ban fireworks in the city altogether, and that is what I would push for. Ask the city fire marshal, and he will tell you that fireworks needs to be banned. If that isn't possible, I would push for restriction of fireworks only on the 4th of July and no other time. When you've survived the noise and explosions from the 3rd, and you wake up in the morning and breathe a sigh of relief, and then you realize, oh my God, it's the 4th, and I have to live through that all over again. It's something beyond. There is no reason to discharge fireworks on the 3rd of July, and there is no reason to discharge fireworks on New Year's Eve. As Bob Scott mentioned last week, enforcement is mandatory. When laws and ordinances are not enforced, they simply do not exist. There is no excuse for not enforcing the ordinances of Sioux City. If the present chief of police does not want to do it, then maybe we need a new chief of police. We have heard about some of the rights of shooting off fireworks. Well, your right ends when it harms another person. And we have people in this city being harmed by fireworks. The veterans with PTSD, the people that have health problems, that can't breathe because of all the smoke. Now, last week I went, after we had the meeting last week, I went to the KTIV Channel 4 website, and just to see if they had a story about the council meeting, and I just Googled fireworks on their search engine. And what I found was a list of fireworks injuries. One of those freak accidents, Louisa teen killed in fireworks explosion. Colorado man loses car after fireworks, sets it on fire. Dog dies after discarded fireworks, sets house on fire. Fireworks explosion in western Michigan kills 1 woman and injures 9 others. 1 dead, 4 injured in 4th of July fireworks explosion in East Texas. Fireworks causes house fire in Sikeston, Missouri. The boner at least 18 children sent to ER for fireworks-related injuries this 4th of July. Now, do not forget about the little boy in Ankeny, Iowa, who was sitting in their yard with the family, watching the neighbors across the street shoot their fireworks off, and one of those tipped over and launched a shell into his head, into his lap, causing very serious burns. And then don't forget Matisse Klevinik, the goalie for Sioux City Musketeers, who died from watching fireworks. A shell fired and hit him in the chest and killed him. All of these things were preventable, and they are preventable. How long do we have to wait? How long are we going to wait? How many people have to die? How many people have to be injured before we realize that fireworks are just a pain? They're a problem, and they need to be resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Anyone else to be heard under citizen concerns? Good afternoon.
My name is Michael Bayala. I think that many of you guys knows me. I first, to start, I really appreciate that what job that the city council has been doing in Sioux City. But I have a small complaint. I don't usually like to complain. I'm complaining about the new company taking the trash in Sioux City. They have been doing for me a very, very poor job. Okay, the last 3 months, they picked my trash only 2 times. My trash was picking every Wednesday in the day. So I came here. I called. They told me that they're gonna pick up the trash. They have not. So I came here, and they give me the phone number for the environmental department. So I called them. They told me, we're gonna get with the company. They ignored me totally. They did not. It took 2 weeks for them to come back. So I called the company. On their website, it said that if you have any issue, address that to the company. I called the company. The young lady who was on the phone told me, oh, we're gonna come and take it. And then that one was just the 5th of July. She said, because of the 4th of July, we have not picked up any trash. I said, no. The former company who was there, on the 5th, they do the job that they're supposed to do on the 4th. And I don't understand why I got to wait for that. It took them another week to come back and clean and pick up the trash. I asked them, I said, what is the problem? What is the real problem? We have a company who was doing a great job. We changed it to a very poor company. Oh, don't take me wrong. The same company pick up my trash on the office. The contract that we have is every week, every 2 weeks. They come every 2 weeks, they pick up the trash. And that one I pay straight to them. Now, I asked the city, how come I'm gonna pay for every week to be taking my trash, and then they have to take it only twice in 2 months?
Yeah.
I think
that's frustrating, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What I would say is I'll pass. Do you have the same cell phone that you've had, your number? Because I can share that with the person of city staff that can help you look into that and hopefully get you some answers, because that is frustrating. And I know the transition has taken some time. They've worked out quite a few of those kinks, but this council has shared your frustration, and I know that they're committed to try to work through some of those things, but I'll give your personal number to our member of our staff that will follow up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael, did they ever come and get it?
Let's have,
Michael, did they come and get it?
Say that again.
Did they come and pick it up?
Yeah, well, no. Right now, my trash is stand there. They have not picking up. And every night, I got to hear all of those animals coming around. I don't know. My trash is there.
Okay.
you'll get that number to staff.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's your turn. You've waited patiently back there. Hi. Good afternoon.
Not as patient as I look. How are you? I haven't seen you guys for a while.
It has been.
We have your name
Yeah.
and address,
Hey, and of
please.
course, I have a complaint, but this one, I have some documents I'd like to share.
Could we get your name too, please?
Name and address.
Name and address.
Name and
Oh, I'm
address.
sorry. Catherine Meyer. I live at 1411 Douglas Street in Sioux City.
Okay. Thank you.
And my complaint, and actually, I've got to say, the last two guys, I absolutely agree with them 100%. We had some shootings in our area a few days before 4th of July, and when they were popping off fireworks, you weren't sure. I actually made a call to see if they would check to see if it was fireworks or gunshots again. But, and the garbage is terrible at our place, too. Anyway, that's not what my primary focus was to come here today. This is about the police department again. And I want to share these. I made 6 copies of some of this stuff. This is beginning in 2023 in correspondence, if I can.
Thank you.
And that started in, like I said, 2013 to today, to current. A complaint that I had written in 2023 documenting $60,000 worth of losses in property and no police cooperation to help us recuperate that, even though we had security cameras with some of that, with the people on the camera stealing our property. And the most recent, last night, I'm sitting in my backyard, and maybe you guys know, I own several properties now on Douglas Street. I'm a carpenter, so I'm that one that's, if you go by there, you probably see me on a roof or something. But last night, I'm in my backyard looking at one of my properties, and I see a break-in happening. I asked the gal 3 times to remove herself from the third floor. She took the back stairs up to the property, and she would not do that. So we called for assistance with the police, because that's an occupied unit with a young gal. In fact, maybe she disappeared. The young gal that's with me, that was her unit. So we called the police, and they never came, and it was an active break-in. That is irresponsible. Then I'm gonna talk about something else that's going on. In there is a complaint about a sergeant with the last name of Tyler. He's come to my properties where I have been assaulted on 3 different occasions, and I had been attacked with a knife on 2 different occasions. The one, I probably have 20 knife holes in my coat. Thank God my puffer coat was thick, and the gal thought she was stabbing me, but it was actually just my coat. But then a few weeks ago, another guy came after me on my property with about a 12-inch knife, and he has refused to do anything about it, disclose whose names they are, keep them off the property, or arrest them. And it's getting really old. But something that has happened, and I think it has become retaliation now with Mr. Tyler. 2 days ago, my husband was arrested. And, we've been around here enough. My husband and I are pretty mellow. We want to fix things. We don't mess with people, and we're not drinkers, we're not druggies, we're, just old grandparents. But anyway, my husband was arrested the other day. They brought half of the police force of Sioux City to our home, and I think it was a drug dog, the police dog, to our home to arrest my husband. I was in the house, I didn't realize what was going on, and I got a knock on my door, and a policeman told me my husband was being arrested. I was in shock, because we're in our 60s, and we've never had these problems. So anyway, I asked them what for, and they said assault. And let me explain this to you and how outraged I am at the police department, and the fact the complaint that they arrested my husband on is signed by Tyler, the one we filed a complaint on, that refuses to do anything to help us recuperate our property or to protect us from people with weapons. When these people came, I will say 6 officers came. There were only 12 on duty that day. They were heard, our neighbor heard them talking about an officer on duty that wanted to be the one to arrest my husband. So I called to see who was on duty, and I know who was on duty, and I believe it's the same guy who signed this paper. That paper was signed 10 days after I was told by one of my tenants that his cousin had my stolen property at his home, and in the thousands of dollars. He had my granddaughter's pool. They had my granddaughter's water toys that I bought her. They have a $3,500 jackhammer, all kinds of my stuff. So we're talking felony theft here. We went to the guy's house who lives behind us, because his sister, as well as his cousin, told us that he had our stolen property, and he was the one stealing it. So we went to his house. We confronted him. The guy assaulted my husband, ripped his necklace off his neck, tore his shirt. My husband's a former professional boxer, I think some people know. Never had a fight over 15 seconds. Well, that holds true. When this guy attacked him, he hit him twice and knocked him out. The guy was knocked out. He came after my husband again. My son was here from California. He grabbed the guy, took him to the ground, and held him down so he could listen. We told these people, and they're natives, and there were a lot of them. This woman, I think, has 9 children that are older. So all of them came out, and I spoke to them as a guy came after me with a tire iron and told them they had 1 hour to take apart my granddaughter's toys, get my jackhammer out of their basement, and return my stolen property, or I would be prosecuting them, and I would call the police. We know these people. We know who they are. When they didn't have a refrigerator for their 9 kids, my husband and I supplied them with a refrigerator and took it to their house, and they're stealing from us. So we tried to do it amicably. Went home, that was the end of it. The guy with the tire iron put it away because I was filming him. I go home, and 10 days later, my husband's arrested for assault with injury, mental or physical. They know, and we had complained to the police and tried to file a complaint with the police when they came to our house about this instance. And we told them what had happened, and then our stolen property is sitting right there. Right there. Their whole family has agreed actually to now for court to be tape recorded that our stolen property was in that house, and all we were doing was try to amicably solve the problem without the police. Instead now, my husband's been arrested for an assault the first time in his life.
Okay, and I need to have you, are you about ready to wrap it up? I need to have you wrap it up in a little bit, and I think
Yeah,
we need,
but I want you to read these complaints and stuff and the response. I think we need a new police chief.
and I gave it to Mike Collette, and he can follow up
I'll
with
follow up with Rex.
police chief. Okay?
Yeah, there's a letter from him. It's absolutely obnoxious.
Yes. Oh, no, but thank you for bringing that information in, and Mr. Collette, you said there were 6 copies, but I don't think there were 6.
I've got them here. I didn't have them all collated because I did it quickly.
That's fine.
apologize.
I think we have everything to Mr. Collette.
If you just like those
so-
ones.
Yeah.
As long
that's
as we
fine.
have one full set.
Thanks for having the copies, though, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for listening to me because I'm really frustrated at this
Yes.
point.
Okay.
You know, when you're a
Good help.
senior and now you're going to jail
Sure.
for protecting yourself because someone else isn't.
Yep.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, thank you.
And good to see everybody. Next time I'll come with good news.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, yeah, please.
Mike, I'm going to give you these.
Yeah, come on up.
Just so you'll have-
We just need your name and that.
Okay. My name is Lita Schulenberger. It's 4316 Orleans Avenue, where when I left to come here today, fireworks were being shot off by the kids in the neighborhood. So I'd like to address the fireworks situation. And on behalf of those that can't, won't, or don't speak up about this, I have a question, several questions. Who am I? Trembling, confused, I crawl underneath the bed looking for a quiet place. For some relief from the piercing sounds, the bangs, the whistles, the explosions. It is loud. My ears hurt. In total confusion, I don't understand. How do I get away? There is no escape. Who am I? In terror, I dig deeper into the dark corner of the closet. I'm shaking as the lights flash all around me. They are startling. More than bright, they are blinding. My eyes hurt. I don't understand. Why can't I get away? There is no relief. But wait, finally, it is quiet. No flashes, no explosions. Is it over? Do I dare hope that this is the end? No. There it starts again and again and again. The explosions, the flashes, the smoke, there is no escape. So who am I? I am your neighbor. I am your pet. I am your combat veteran. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to be heard under citizen concerns? Okay, we'll move on to council concerns, agenda item 15. Mr. O'Kane.
Well, I will lead off with fireworks. It is, I don't think I speak just for myself, but I can assure you that every member of the council has had many conversations with regards to fireworks and where we need to go from here. And we are very grateful that you're sharing that feedback. I agree. I am in the same boat. Fireworks were really out of hand this year. I do agree that we need to step up enforcement of it, and we need to make sure that we are able to define what our officers are able to do and how they're able to cite people for shooting off fireworks. We also need to have a larger conversation about just what should be appropriate, because I don't think the length of hours that we allow fireworks or the amount of days that we allow fireworks or even the locations, although I've been told several times that the location is really murky. But I think that's something that we need to consider. If we're not able to be good neighbors, at the very least, we need to limit the amount of torture that we are imposing on everyone around us, right? So I apologize that all of you have had those experiences. I've had those experiences as well. I have a young daughter who does not do well around loud noises. I have veterans that live around that are having to go through that kind of torturous. Out of respect for my neighbors, we don't shoot off fireworks. We go see a professional show. We take a hike in the park around the Explorers Field, and we watch the fireworks that they shoot off. And you get more bang for your buck, in my opinion, that way anyways. I don't get the amazement with the loud noises and all the smoke. So I am all for that, and I can assure you that everybody on the council has made that the majority of our conversations this past week and the week before, to try and find some solution or something that we can impose. It's been said before, we can't really affect the sale of fireworks, but it's something that we need to make sure that we are able to have restrictions that we can police and that work out for people. So the other thing that I wanted to hit on today is homelessness. The warming shelter had to close their doors this past week. In a matter of full disclosure, I sit on the warming shelter board, and so yeah. So as a matter for full disclosure here, I do sit on the warming shelter board. And so I tend to try and limit a lot of the comments that I make publicly, because if I say something that benefits the warming shelter board, typically the first reaction, the knee-jerk reaction is, well, you're just out to make them money. They're a nonprofit, and I don't really get that. We need to do more for the homeless in our city. Full stop. We shouldn't have people sleeping on streets. We shouldn't have people sleeping in cars. We need to take care of that. The warming shelter had a funding gap that could not be reached. And so they had to close their doors. So we have a lot of people. We have families in Sioux City that right now have no roof above their heads. We need to do better for the homeless in our community. We have people in Sioux City that have no access to clean drinking water, that have no access to restroom facilities. They have an abundance of people that are willing to call the police the second that they urinate in an alleyway, but we have no public restrooms with the exception of city buildings. We need to be better stewards for our neighbors, and I think fireworks and homelessness are two great examples of that. And that's all for my comments this week.
Matthew, just a point of clarification, because I might have misread it, Sioux City Journal, but isn't the warming shelter, though, still having the families and some of the those with disabilities?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've retained staff, but we, speaking on behalf of the warming shelter, had to close our doors to the vast majority of homeless in our community, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to retain enough funding to be open in the winter. And the warming shelter is there first and foremost to make sure that nobody is out in the freezing cold during the winter. So that way we will have funding to open in the winter. So rest assured, they will open back up.
Now, was this their first year, their first attempt to stay open?
Yep.
For 65?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Shaner?
Well, back to the fireworks again. I'm just going to say that we do receive emails. We do respond to them about the fireworks and how, they negatively impact so many people. I'm wondering, Mark, have you ever formed some kind of a group that would petition the state? Do you call our representatives? Do you reach out at the state level to try to get some sort of change coming from there? Because we're really, battling against that, for one thing. I mean, Des Moines and others, they don't want them either, but yet our legislature continues to pass the laws that say that we can have the sale of fireworks in here, even if a community chooses not to allow them to blow them off.
I have talked to fire marshals all across the state.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to city managers across the state of the cities that do ban fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
The fire marshals in the state of Iowa have all gone together to Des Moines to ask that fireworks not be made legal, and they were ignored.
But personally, you haven't?
How can we possibly ignore these people that we appoint
Right.
and hire to protect us and keep us safe? I don't understand that.
Right. Well, I'm just wondering, at the constituent, at the citizen level, has anybody, from Sioux City thought about forming a group that, is emailing, calling a representative, calling the governor's office? They have the message line. Any kind of awareness to it, could help, let them know how strongly you feel about it and others do.
I have called representatives personally, not as a group. I think the city council would certainly have more weight than I would as a person. But,
Mark,
yes,
our recording won't pick you up, so if you could if you could please be at the podium.
and I thought I was being loud and boisterous. I have talked to fire marshals. I have talked to representatives, and I think that the city council, as a group, writing to the state and asking that something be done. The law that was passed was written by the fireworks industry. They quote an NFPA rule book that is like 20 years obsolete. And it have written into that bill this particular NFPA code book because it says that fireworks are relatively safe. Every other code book after that says, no, fireworks are not safe and should not be allowed.
Right, and that's information I think that you should share with your representatives, that they don't think that people in the community know these things.
Well, they don't. I mean, and I don't know if the state representatives and senators actually know.
I know, you should
They
tell
were
them.
probably told, this is a good bill, pass it, and didn't read it. How many bills get passed and are never
right.
read?
Right. I would like to see you shout out to the rooftops at the state level, too, honestly.
Well,
You're very well-spoken when it comes to the topic. You're far more educated than any of us sitting up here on the size and what they're made of and what the laws have been in the past. I think that you could probably offer them a fairly hefty education on the topic.
Well, we can all do is try. There's one thing I wanted to mention, too. It was mentioned last week that, if you have a complaint, if you have fireworks going off and they're illegal, you need to call the police and you need to give them the address of where they're being shot off. Now, you're asking someone who's woken up in the middle of the night, they're woken up at midnight, you're asking them to get out of bed, put some clothes on, and walk up and down the street trying to find that address. And I think that is just ridiculous.
Understood.
I call the police, I tell them, hey, I live at 2909 Garrettson Avenue, and I can tell you that there's fireworks going off to the north of me, and that should be enough. But that's the end of that rant. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. Anything else, Julie? Nothing about the,
Despite what they do on a state level, does the city have any independence in decisions on this?
Not on the sale of fireworks, no.
the discharge, yes, but not
On the
on the
discharge,
sale.
yes,
but
on
not
the sale,
sale.
no. They can still sell them all over the city, as long as they have a permit to sell.
Has that always been the case? Or did we just legalize it 3 years ago?
Just legalized it recently.
The
Yeah, I
state, they
forget
did
how
that on a
many.
state level, not city?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Julie. Mr. Waters?
I tell you what, it's been a somber day at council. I thought this was.
Bring us to the
Yeah,
happy
no,
side.
I just want to address some folks' comments. I mean, I spoke at length a little bit more, I believe it was last week, about fireworks and some of my frustration and what I share as frustrations. I would echo Julie's comments that for me, the greater frustration is that oftentimes it seems that our legislature would rather pass laws or ban different things or allow different things that cities no longer have the ability to police or monitor themselves. And I think that that's a great disservice, especially when a lot of times they're trying to preach that they're small government. Well, if we're trying to be small government, then we should trust our local municipalities to do what's best for our citizens. And I really wish that we were able to do that, because I do share the plight that I think it would be challenging to be able to find the people that are doing this, not only the people that are calling and complaining or trying to get a hold of the police, but then for those officers to be able to locate them in the exact same way that you would, Mark, maybe have trouble finding them. I think officers struggle with that as well when they are trying to respond to maybe larger accidents that may or may not have been caused by fireworks. I think our hands are very much so tied where if we were to ban those, I'm not sure that that would do a lot to curb the discharge of them, because that's been the experience in other communities as well. So I spoke more last week. I just wanted to at least share my frustrations and say that I'm committed, as I think all of us have said, to continuing that discussion, because I'm not certain that we're hitting the mark. Mark, did you have a comment? Second?
I'm wondering if it wouldn't be easier for the police department to enforce the laws and the ordinances if they were completely banned. I mean, you wouldn't have to guess about is it 5 o'clock? Is it 6 o'clock? Is it 11 o'clock? Is it 11:15? You know, any fireworks going off would be illegal fireworks. And I would think that that would be an easier thing to enforce than having to try and figure out which times when and where.
That much is true. It would be black and white. It's
you know,
legal or it isn't.
Over the
we
years,
have a lot of people in this city, 85,000.
Right.
And they aren't all shooting off fireworks. The vast majority of our citizenry is obeying the law. And I think if we banned fireworks, then they would just stop shooting them. They'd go to Explorers Park. They'd go to a Saturday night in the park, and they'd watch those. And they're much better. They're much better demonstrations than anything anyone's going to shoot in town or in their backyard. Okay.
Well, Mark, I don't mean to bring you up here again. I was just voicing my response and saying that I share your frustration and committed to trying to work out some coordination so that we all don't have to hear those in our neighborhoods. The other person that I wanted to address was Miss Baker. First off, I'm gonna start it from a different stance. How about this? More than anything, I appreciate your passion, especially for your community, because I think a lot of people get into public service because of that same passion, and it's clear to me that you really care about your neighborhood and you want to see the investment, you want to see the rebuilding, and you want to see all those things, and I think that's commendable, and I truly appreciate your willingness to come down here and share some of your thoughts. I feel like we could probably talk about a range of different issues and go back and forth and talk about budgets and allocations and where money is coming from. But I will tell you that I think a point that Councilmember Moore was pointing to is that I think this council gives every effort, or at least I know I do, to strike a balance with that. And a balanced approach of having amenities that people want to utilize while they live here, while they are here, but also able to bolster efforts, whether it's recruiting a new company or making sure that a company here has workforce that's able to employ them, or having a range of houses at different prices so that people can live in them, or as Mr. Moore was pointing out, the programs such as lead abatement and things like that that we have that are free for our citizens to be able to participate to hopefully renovate their homes. I think there is a balance there. I truly appreciate your passion, because I feel that same passion. I lived on the west side for a number of years, and then I bought my house over in Morningside, a small home near Floyd Golf Course. It's one of those where I'm very proud of the neighborhoods I've been in, and I've been elected to serve everyone in Sioux City. And so we have to balance that approach and that budget, which is a big undertaking. And so I'm committed to continuing to do that because I want to see all of our neighborhoods thrive. But sometimes it's, we want all of our money to be in this neighborhood or all of the money to be in that neighborhood, and sometimes it seems inequitable. But I assure you, every time we go into those budget cycles, that's one of the things we're thinking about and talking about, is how can we balance those different funds and what monies are available for what projects and how can we redistribute.
Okay.
I just wanted you to at least know that I
Yeah.
appreciate your passion very much and I hear you.
Part of my passion comes from, not me, originally in my little argument I had that I'm an import, so to speak. My husband has lived here his entire life in the exact same neighborhood where he grew up, born and raised. And I know what houses, well, I don't know. In the small community where I lived, the people around us, I mean, the dads were laid off in the wintertime because of this or that, or in the summertime for this or that, and we had the commodity cheese and da-da-da-da. But we still made things work. We still made, you know, our lawns look fine, and neighbors helped neighbors and things like that. And it's heartbreaking to hear him talk about having 35 plus years of asphalt being just added over First Street to take care of the potholes, and watching other streets just get, like St. Aubin, get torn up so that they can have a bike trail get torn up again because something was wrong with the plumbing or something. And here we sit and just watch everything, literally our curb is crumbling. I can take my little low-setting car and drive right on to my front lawn if I need to get something out of my trunk to bring in the house. It's just, so the passion is more for him.
Yeah.
But it's also for the people around us, because
Yeah.
we need that support.
No, I understand. And I, with that same notion of striking the balance and looking at budgets, we have to be equitable, especially when it comes to our streets. So we do everything we can to improve the longevity of those roads, but then ultimately sometimes we have to replace and we have to prioritize how much are they used and where that is. And we do our best to be equitable. But like you, I'm an import. I didn't even move to Sioux City. I mean, I went to college here and decided to come back here and liked the community and what it is so much that I decided I wanted to be a part of making it better. So I thank you for being here and voicing your concern. I'm going to continue to do my best to meet your concerns and moving forward. So thank you. That's all I have. Well,
Anything else?
yeah, I'm going to end it on a positive note because I'm a pretty positive guy. We have Ragbri in town. Thank you. The 50th anniversary, and I think that's a big deal. And I think that's going to be.
15 times.
Huh?
Veteran here.
There you go. Great. 15 times. That's impressive. I've said one of these years I'm going to roll along with one of the rides for at least a day or something, but I think that'd be fun. But it's great to, right? It's great to welcome everyone to our community and be able to showcase that. So please, if you would like to, they're still requesting if people want to open their homes or their yards to be able to allow people to camp there or use a bedroom while they're staying. I know they're looking for people to do that. Or if you're wanting to volunteer, there are tons of opportunities to be able to do that. And at the very least, please go down to the Tyson Event Center parking lot or one of the other areas here in town. Take in 4th Street's going to be having a July jam that's going on. It's going to be a great time as well. So there will be plenty of opportunities to support our area businesses, but also welcome thousands of people to our community. And so I would encourage everyone to do that. Free concert, Spin Doctors down at Tyson Event Center. So the price is right. Go down there and enjoy yourself. Just leave your fireworks, at home. You don't need to be shooting any of those off. So no doubt. Enjoy yourself this weekend, and thank you for everyone doing their part of welcoming these people to Sioux City. Dan.
Okay, I just have a few things. On fireworks, I think we can do better. We've got to look at sales, discharge, and enforcement. Those are the 3 primaries to me, and I think we can be doing better. The other thing I want to add is talking about good things in keeping with Mr. Waters.
Positivity, Dan, here we go.
I do believe we have a parade on Wednesday.
Well, I'll tell
The
you
river,
what.
yeah.
Dan loves a parade. I know you
What's the
do.
parade for? What do we celebrate?
Rivercade.
Rivercade Parade is Wednesday. So, and I must say this for our community. I know we have a lot of issues. I know we have a lot of challenges. But this community, if you've gone to the parades, the Morningside Days Parade, Leeds Parade, the Mardi Gras Parade, people are turning out, I think, in record numbers. people, adults, kids. It's just amazing. And I always thought parades were where you could get out and actually get to know people, get to know your neighbor, and not be in some basement, not being able to communicate with people. So I think parades are great, and I think the Rivercade celebration is also a good one. Last weekend, and I purchased one of these for each of the council members and the mayor. I hope you keep them and read them. They had the second annual Red Sky Nation Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Powwow. It was held at Riverside Park. And it was their second annual. And I just want to say that the city of Sioux City, I went and they presented a proclamation, gave an invocation. And when you look through this brochure, which is excellent, I'm proud that the city of Sioux City supports this kind of activity. I was talking to many people while I was there, and they're saying, go across Iowa, and the cities that do not support this event, that don't support the powwow, and they really talk up Sioux City and say, we are on board. And we had to be flexible this weekend, and the city manager did just that and accommodated what they needed because of weather on Friday night. So I'll tell you what, though, it just it just grips your heart. I mean, it just breaks your heart to see what's going on with indigenous peoples. So I hope you keep that and not just put it on the shelf, read through it and share it. And again, RAGBRAI, this insert in the journal was outstanding, and it just makes you proud to be living in Sioux City and proud of all the good things we do have going on. So that's all I have. I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
I'll give it to Mike then.
Thank you, council.
You too, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Collette.